Well, it would seem, Iman, that they came by this information from the Ugandan police. Certainly, this is a joint warning that was first voiced publicly by the U.S. Embassy in Kampala, although it's based apparently on information and intelligence that was gathered by Ugandan authorities, who say that they learnt of a plan to launch some kind of terrorist disruption at Entebbe Airport, as you said, in that very specific, very narrow time window between 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock local time this evening. So security has obviously been beefed up around the airport. I'm told by colleagues in Kampala that stop and search activities are also underway in the city itself. And the US government is saying to travellers, look, if you were planning to be at the airport between those 2 hours, you might want to rethink your plans. Clearly, there are concerns that this is a very live threat to the airport.
It certainly seems, based on all of the responses and all the airplay given to this, that the so-called, attackers or the anticipated attack, the timing for that could possibly change.
Yes, I mean, absolutely right. Having voiced publicly when you think the attack is going to take place, I mean, I think any terrorism analyst would say that the potential attackers are going to hear that warning and then perhaps may go away and rethink their plans. So it's not that at 11:01 local time in Kampala the threat is suddenly at an end, and it's quite possible that by publicly giving voice to this warning, you've simply delayed any plan to try and launch an attack. Remember too, Iman, that this comes at a time of broader concern about threats to aviation security, with the US government just yesterday, through its Department of Homeland Security, asking 15 airports in the Middle East and Europe to introduce enhanced security procedures for non-stop flights heading towards US shores. So there's definitely chatter in the system somewhere that is worrying the US and some of its international partners about ongoing threats to aviation security, in addition to this very specific threat in Entebbe.
I want to go back, as you say, Simon, to the specific threat. I mean, this local inspector general of police saying that the Entebbe airport was at risk. Of course, we all know that now. But he also went on to say that the attackers had already conducted some trial runs as to how this attack, a promised attack, would unfold. Any details about exactly what form it was likely to take?
No, I mean, they have been saying here over the last 24 hours that they are concerned about the possibility that some groups may have already or may be trying to develop explosives that can't be detected through the normal security procedures. The explosive devices that don't include metal components, explosive devices that may be shrouded in wax or another protective substance that makes them not able to be detected by sniffer dogs and the other kind of routine equipment that is used at airports internationally. And they've also said that they're worried that a growing tide of people from Western cities heading into places like Iraq and Syria to join the ISIS Sunni militants there may themselves be recruited to try and launch attacks against Western interests. So all of this seems to be coming together over the last 24 hours, with that warning issued to Europe and the Middle East, now this very specific warning to Entebbe, and certainly very unusual, as I say, for the United States to provide such specificity about when an attack may take place.
What is not specific, though, Simon, is who these people are. It's coming from an unknown terror group. We know there have been attacks in this country by the likes of Al-Shabaab previously. Any further intelligence on who this particular group is?
No, I think that the microscope will clearly be focusing on Al-Shabaab because of its stated intention over the last few weeks to try and launch fresh attacks on targets in Uganda. There'll also, I think, be some discussion about the Lord's Resistance Army, although there's more likely, I think, to be a focus on Al-Shabaab given the very public threats that they've made and the action that they've carried out in Uganda just over the last few weeks. But an ongoing concern concern too about broader threats from Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula and its affiliates, and also now from ISIS, the group that's operating in Iraq and Syria, about which the US, it has to be said, is still scrambling to develop intelligence. Remember that the way in which they have taken territory over the last few weeks really has caught the US government flat-footed, and President Obama has all but acknowledged that he didn't have the intelligence at his fingertips that he wanted about that group before it took the cities of Mosul and Tikrit in Iraq.
Know more. ENCA.com